Hello everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about my experiences in Endwalker so far. I am going to put up some background footage, but I just wanted to put a bit of a spoiler warning, or at least clarify what the spoiler warning is going to be for today's video. I've just hit level 84 in the main quest, and I've done 2 dungeons so far. So that sort of sets the stage for how far I am. And again, in this video, pretty much everything that's happened up to that point, so like the first 3 zones, is up for discussion, which is what I want to do today. So bear that in mind. I'm going to show you footage from the first dungeon as well. So if you don't want to watch this stuff, if you haven't explored it, seen it yourself yet, I invite you to come back later when you actually have, because there's some pretty crazy stuff that's been happening in Endwalker so far, and I don't want to spoil it for you. So that being said, for everyone who has seen that stuff and wants to hear what I'm thinking of the expansion so far, because I get asked this several times a day now on stream when I'm doing main quest, here's what I think. Let's go. So let me put this up. By the way, I have set up a second channel. If you're wondering where the Let's Play is, well, I've not set up a second channel. I've revived from very much the dead a channel that I used to have, or used to use, years and years ago. Mostly when I was doing Heroes of the Storm stuff. So a long time ago. But I've revived it, and I'm going to be putting all my stream VODs up over there. So all the Let's Play stuff will be up over there, plus a few bonus things as well. But yeah, the idea is that basically that channel will be for the super long multiple hour long videos that you can really sink your teeth into and just dive into and get that full long form experience. And then for my main channel here, I'm going to focus that in more on shorter videos, like discussion videos and guides. I had a blast actually doing the crash course for Reaper and Sage. Brings me back to my YouTubing roots, to be honest. And yeah, I'm going to do more of that stuff. It's only one of the only downsides is that I've been taking my time going through the MSQ so that it gives you guys time to get ahead of me so that you can actually tune in and watch the stream without being spoiled. The only downside is like I'm ready to play some of these jobs at max level, really dive into the nitty gritty and bring you guys guides about them. But I haven't. Yeah, but we're gonna have to be a little bit patient for that. I have been leveling up multiple jobs though alongside my main stuff, so that's gonna be happening as well. I think I've got Sage is up to 81 now. Reaper's no, sorry, Sage is 82, I think. Reaper is 84, just about 84. Samurai's up to 81. I've been leveling some Astro. I've been doing a bunch of different stuff to basically get the stuff up and going. I will actually mention, but very briefly, let me mention my day 1 experience, which was grinding Bozja, which was not great. I like Bozja. I think it's cool as an option, but leveling a job entirely through Bozja is definitely something I probably wouldn't do again. On top of the fact that day 1 it was super stressful. It was like, these were the hardcore gamers, guys. These were the guys that were logging on as soon as they could. Fighting that queue all day long to log on. These were the power gamers. Oh my goodness. I've never seen such things. It was like literally this horde of 72 ravenous gamers descending upon every skirmish, every critical engagement. I've never seen some of these skirmishes end so quickly. Like, it was genuinely hard to even get a gold medal in these skirmishes because you would literally run there as quickly as possible from when it spawned, and it would all be dead. Like, I'm playing on an SSD. If anyone's actually still playing on a hard drive, you would be screwed. There's no chance you would make it. It was absolutely mental. I'm actually one definite thing that made me sad was that no one was doing CLL, right? The big raid that you do as part of Bozja. No one's interested in it because it's not good for XP. So that was a bummer. I kind of wish that they would have done something about that already and made CLL something that people would want to do just to break up the grind of skirmishes and critical engagements. I had a lot more fun, I'll be honest, on Sage. Leveling Sage is a lot more fun because I was just doing that through duty roulettes and then a little bit of dungeon spamming as well. And I enjoy that a lot more. There's a lot more variety. You actually get to talk to people instead of just manically just destroying. But I mean, I tell you guys, like, just give people that's all you have to do to win a war. Final Fantasy, win this, forget, like, I don't know, all this stuff we're doing about, getting the grand companies and blah, blah, blah. Screw that. Just be like, adventurers, there's a new job. If you want to get this job, you have to defeat Garlemald. So they'll be like, yep, bam. You'd probably barely finish telling them what's happened and Xenos would be defeated. It's true. It's true. But yes. Anyway, let's dive into more stuff. Let's talk about story, because that's probably like the big thing that you guys are interested in. Let's talk about story and questing as well. Let me actually start with questing. This has been something that has really impressed me, this expansion. For me, I think that, and I've seen other people say this too, I think definitely the weakness of Final Fantasy XIV, its story is obviously phenomenal, but the questing does leave something to be desired, or it certainly did in previous expansions. Where for the most part nearly all of the quests would break down to walk here and talk to someone, then walk here and talk to someone, then walk and talk, and then walk and talk, and cutscene and walk and talk, and then walk to this purple destination, and then an enemy will spawn in, kill that enemy, then walk and talk and walk and talk. A lot of walking, a lot of talking, not a lot of variety. They've been putting in a concerted effort, a very obvious effort in Endwalker, to improve that variety, to make it better, to make it more interesting. And I really appreciate it. I mean, two big ones, two obvious ones. One, which I think people probably hate these, but I love it. I love it. Let me know what you think. I love it. Escort quests, right? Where you actually walk around town with your party members. They don't just like walk off 3 steps and slowly vanish into the ether and then reappear at the quest destination. No, they actually come with you, and you can go and do optional conversations and get extra lore, extra insight. That to me is so much fun. Or then you've got, the quest like follow Alize as she's running around the town, and you've got to keep up with her. That's a second one. Kind of like not an escort quest, but a follow quest. And then you've got the stealth follow quest, which is, where you've got to follow someone without being detected. Basically, these are all like the crap quests from Assassin's Creed. Let's be real. It was all the stuff from Assassin's Creed back in the day. They're like, not another bloody escort quest. But I really like it in this game. Again, because it's variety. It's breaking things up. It's mixing things up. Or another one in Thavnair. There was a bit where I was like, this is like the real side bit. It's like, oh yeah, it's a fetch quest. Go to the quarry and get some of the resources so we can build the talismans. And I'm kind of thinking, looking at this, I'm like, okay, this is the filler. Here comes the filler. And then the game was like, haha, we played you for a fool, you fool. It was like, get on this not a Hamsa. Their version of Chocobo. And I was like, yeah, no, you're on a tour now, right? It's gonna walk you there, right? You're just like on this on rails, and you're gonna get a tour from, I can't remember his name, the little boy. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, okay, okay, this was filler, but it's a whole new quest type, right? With like changing the camera angles, giving you a tour. Reminded me of some of the Final Fantasy 15 stuff, actually. When you discover new locations in your car and kind of look out from the car. And I was like, you know what? That impressed me. It really did. So that's a whole ton of examples of how just the standard questing has just gotten more variety. And for me, it's a huge improvement to the game. It's really great. Solo duties as well have been great. And I feel like there's been a lot of them. I don't know if like maybe I'd have to go back and do like a proper breakdown to see like, okay, is there actually more? Or is it just my like perspective right now because it's new and it's fresh in my mind? But I do feel like there's been a lot more solo duties, and they've been very enjoyable too. Like I really enjoyed the one in near the start of Garlemald, where you were playing as Thancred and doing your stealth mission with Thancred on top of the solo duty playing as yourself in Garlemald. Actually, it was part of the same sort of series, the Arrival in Garlemald, where you're sort of fighting off waves of troops and moving through the caravan, the supply caravan as you went. All that stuff was really fun. But yeah, stealth mission with Thancred. Really interesting mission there at the end of Garlemald, where you play as just a regular Garlean soldier. That one was really interesting too. Although I will say this was one downside for sure. The invisible walls were bad. Bad square. Bad. So hopefully that's something they'll fix next expansion, and they can move away from doing that. But like you're going through the ruins of the city, and it's like, get out of the ruins. And you're like, I can see the exit. It's right there. Look, it's right there. And then there's this wall of orange balls blocking your path. And you're kind of going, okay, that's kind of dumb. They could put rubble in the way. I mean, you're in a ruined city, just fill it with rubble. or they could have put, which they did do for other certain parts. You could put, you know, war machina in the way, basically super powerful enemies that would just kill you. That also worked, and they're nice immersive ways to stop you going to certain locations. For me, I really don't like the invisible wall thing. So I do hope they move away from that in the future. That's the only criticism really I have of these sort of quests. Yeah, pretty much. It's been great. So that's the questing. Story-wise, the story has been so good. Oh my god. The way I was describing it today on stream was, I think I'm about 20 hours in, I think, roughly. But if you take this first 20 hours of Endwalker and you compare it to my experiences in the first 20 hours of Shadowbringers or the first 20 hours of Stormblood, I don't quite remember Heavensward first 20 hours, so I won't compare it to that. But compared to those other two, for sure, this is by far the best intro to expansion, without question, for me, without question. Like I talked about this in my Shadowbringers review. I loved like the first, I don't know, 5 hours of Shadowbringers were amazing, and then it really heavily slowed down. You know, going through Ilmeg and going through Raktika and stuff like that. And sort of one of the big things for me in Shadowbringers, there were some great parts, but there also was a lot that felt like filler. It felt like Ilmeg, you know, go get the 3 things, the 3 MacGuffins to open up the door to get the big MacGuffin. You know, that felt like filler. I was like, okay, this is just busy work to fill in the expansion before we get to the good stuff. I don't feel like there's been any filler really in Endwalker, or at least it's so well paced out, it feels to me, that you don't notice it. You don't notice it. I think a big part of it for sure is that the zones have all been really interesting and very diverse, and also every single zone feels like it is impactful to what is going on. Thavnair probably the least so, but you know, the starting off on Sharlayan, old Sharlayan, and getting all of that, you know, seeing their society, this super advanced society, super well off, but this basically you're doing, not only are you returning to a place that's, you know, really well developed and really nice moments as well through the story, like going to a cafe and sitting down and having coffee with Alizé. That was such a great moment. And there's been multiple moments like that actually throughout all of the different zones, where lots of times where on top of plot stuff actually happening, that you have time to actually sit down and have you know, story moments between your companions. In what feels like a very traditional JRPG way, that they're really, I feel like this more than any other expansion is closest to a typical, an old school JRPG story, or even just RPG story, where, you know, those conversations with your companions, those bonding moments, are almost as important as the plot at times, and they've done a great job with that. But anyway, going back to Old Sharlayan and exploring Old Sharlayan, it was definitely slow paced for sure, and Labyrinthos, exploring Labyrinthos, all that stuff was definitely slow paced, but kind of unraveling those mysteries and just that, you know, what are the Forum up to? This mystery behind it all, which I still don't know. Please don't spoil it. That sort of driving it kept that interest for me for sure. And I was like, yeah, I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's going on, even though, you know, you're not really in all that much danger from the enemies, you know, compared to like in Garlemald, where the danger is much more real. So yeah, that was great. Then Thavnair, to be fair, is probably the least directly tied into the plot. But we did have the whole development of, which was very plot important, but the talismans, which will help us stop tempering. Which has big plot ramifications in terms of, I'm very happy with it. As one of my bugbears has been with the game, was that, you know, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, an organization whose pretty much primary goal is to stop primals, and nearly none of them can actually fight primals because they just get tempered. It's like, you've got certain organizational problems right there. This doesn't seem like very smart. You know, I feel like you're hiring people that are unqualified for the job here. So now that they can use those talismans and they can fight primals, it's a game changer for sure, in a way that makes a lot more sense. And also, I'm looking forward to the end of the story here, and I'm thinking, hey, if something does happen to Hydaelyn, you know, if Hydaelyn doesn't make it through this story, we're all good. We can have a tempering talisman, and it doesn't matter now. We can still fight primals and stuff, and even if the Blessing of Light ends up going away. So that was good too. Yeah. So that was definitely interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, Thavnir had stuff going on top of the fact that it's just a very different culture, a beautiful, colorful zone. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really cool. It was really fun. Again, nice little mystery in there with the satrap and who is the satrap, what's going on. That was good fun. And again, nice, just big twists, big reveals. And particularly seeing, how Estinian reacts to it and what it means to him. That makes it more real, makes it more impactful for sure. Garlemald, my favorite zone so far. The third zone has been amazing. Oh my goodness, I loved Garlemald. Very much a Western Curthin Highlands vibe, and reminds me a lot of Stormblood as well. Of just people living in just the worst state. Just post-apocalyptic, very like Fallout games or the Metro games or Frostpunk. The city being kind of a circular layout reminded me a lot of Frostpunk too, and obviously the frost. Mostly the frost. But yeah, it was really interesting going to Garlemald, and again, just how bleak it is and how just devastated and destroyed and war torn, and just what a downer the whole story was. And I was shocked, bloody hell, by your man. The end of it, what a twist. I didn't think they'd go there with I can't remember his name now, but the Legatus committing suicide. I was like, what age rating is this game? I didn't think they would do that. That was, I thought they might do it, but have it be very, subtle. But it was pretty obvious. It was pretty blatant. I feel like they definitely stretched the age rating there, which was kind of, again, it just sets the stage. And I was in genuine fear for Alphino and Alizé as well during a lot of that. I was in genuine fear. They're definitely building up to bad stuff happening to the Scions. They've been laying the groundwork all expansion long. So now it's just sort of like this fear of being like, what's going to happen? Who's going to happen? Who's it going to happen to? So we'll see what happens. I'd be shocked if everyone makes it through in one piece, though. We'll see. But yeah, Garlemald was fantastic. Just the whole setting, the whole theme of it was so good. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the story and dive into all of the spoilers in today's video. I think we might do another like in-depth sort of discussion video another time for the story of what's happening. But yeah, it's been great. It's been so good. And I loved as well. It feels to me very much a better continuation. It reminds me a lot of the Stormblood post quest. Actually, is what it reminds me of. The Stormblood post quest, where I felt that was the part of Stormblood where they got the right balance of characters to plot. But yeah, I love it. It has the strength of Stormblood of being these very human stories, the human side of war, human experience, human suffering, all the different perspectives. I thought they did a great job of that. Going through Garlemald, the perspective, understanding the perspective of the Garlean people and how they see you. And I think, some of it, obviously, it's there's bias and all of that, but you can kind of understand, like, if a Garlean showed up and was like, yo, I'm going to cure you. I can cure you of your wounds here. I've got my giant, like Dr. Robotnik frickin' arms or Dr. Octopus robot arms. These will fix you. Trust me, it's fine. You'd be kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I want that. That's, gosh, this is kind of scary. And that's how they regard magic, all that sort of stuff. You can understand their perspective and how they've been indoctrinated and their culture. And I thought they did a great job. They did a really, really good job in that zone of having it be sort of shades of gray. Well, it was still fairly black and white, but somewhat shades of gray for sure, that you can actually understand where they are. Though obviously they're still very obvious villains in Xenos and in Van Daniel. But yeah, that was done really well. Let me mention Reaper and Sage as well. Let me talk about the new jobs. In fact, let me skip on ahead a bit here. Let me skip to the final boss, because I remember the final boss of this dungeon being exceptionally good. Somewhere here, maybe? Here we go. Hang on. Somewhere around here? There we go. Oh, look at this. Perfect. Yeah. This last boss was great. So many mechanics. This was a brilliant dungeon just for that. Not only is it really cool dungeon, but this last boss, all the AoEs going off. This is no like super easy first dungeon to ease you into the expansion. No. They're like, yeah, this boss stuff's going crazy. Deal with it. It's great fun. Really fun. But for Reaper and Sage, for me, Reaper, I'm maining Reaper still. And Reaper is very fun. I will say that I think I enjoy Reaper. I don't know if it's my favorite. Um, I do think I prefer Samurai still by a decent margin. But we'll see. I obviously I think that the rest of the Reaper toolkit has a pretty big impact. You know, having Communio and the OGCDs of Reaper form, I think that will really up the feel of it. Whereas Reaper form right now is very simple. But I think that Reaper is a nice, straightforward, simple job that's accessible. It looks amazing, super cool animations, and I mean stuff like the utility is really fun. Like the portals is great fun, or going up and starting with Harvest Moon every fight. That's also a little bit of fun as well. Um, yeah, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Sage is actually my preferred one of the two. You know, if you went back, if you said, okay, Nubkeks, I'm sending you back in time to day one of the expansion, and you could only choose one between Reaper and Sage, I would now choose the Sage. I would choose the Sage. I would. Sage has been great, really fun to me, really really enjoyable. Yeah, I just enjoy the amount of OGCDs you have and weaving those through, like the Adder Skull gauge and how it's all OGCD stuff, and sort of managing the recharge of the Adder Skull versus saving up a couple for when the mechanics come in. Because, you know, it's 20-second recharge, but a lot of the abilities have 30-second cooldowns, and they're OGCD. Like, it's just a very satisfying type of gameplay that's, I think, very intimidating when you first pick it up, but when you get into the flow of it, it just feels like there's a lot of buttons or weaving your normal abilities with your creation abilities. Yeah, it has a fantastic flow, and it looks obviously visually super cool as well. So I've been incredibly impressed with Sage. I'm curious what you guys think. Have you played Reaper and Sage? Do you enjoy them as much as I have? Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think. And also, what about other jobs, specifically Summoner and Monk would be the two I'd be really interested to know about. Like the ones that got basically reworked as well for this expansion. How have you been finding those? You've been playing them. Are they good too? My Monk's pretty high. It's level 71, so I will get to it soonish, and we'll see how it feels. Should be good. One thing, actually, I should mention as well, people were saying going into this that your Trust would do AoE. I don't feel like the Trust really do AoE. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like definitely the dungeons with the Trust aren't as slow as they were in Shadowbringers, but I don't feel like they're very fast either. I feel like they're a good speed. They're a good pace. I don't know. That's just a side thing I was thinking about right there. As all of the AoEs are happening at once. Yes. But yes, let me know what you think. Have you been enjoying the expansion? Pretty much everyone who's been coming into stream has been saying that it's been incredible. Everyone's having very positive experiences with the expansion. So I'm super excited to see what's coming up ahead. And yeah, I hope you guys will tune into the stream or follow the videos, and we'll explore some of it together. And stay tuned whenever I do get a bit further on for some guides, some in-depth guides to how the jobs play and all that sort of stuff, and maybe some of the extreme trials and things like that. We shall see. Thank you for watching, though. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.